Alrighty. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I am up and running. Two things that I wanted to discuss today, outside of altars and altar setups, is when you have people who come into your life from various different backgrounds. It doesn't matter if it's Cuban descent. It doesn't matter if it's religious descents, like say Santeria, Palo Mayombe, Voodoo, Vudan, Quimbanda, Cabiza, okay, or even Satanism, because there's many denominations, many houses within these factions that really have their own opinions of things. Okay, and I've spoken on this stuff before, but I want to take the time to really break that down real fast. First of all, to Alfredo Martinez. Okay.
Hi.
Hi. And I do apologize. I am watching my son at the moment, so if my attention gazes over this way or over this way, it's just because he's right here next to me with his sippy cup. All right. Um, to Alfredo Martinez, you know, a question was brought up to me about you, and I told him, I told this individual flat out, you and I have our history, you know, where you betrayed me, but the way I see it is you have to live with that. But at the same time, I've seen how you've grown. No, I've seen how you've grown. Okay, and that's a good thing. But I've been watching your career with the Dark Sorcery channel, and I've been watching what people have been saying and everything on Facebook about you and how you've been growing and maturing within the arts. And that says a lot about you, okay, in my opinion. So, to the individual that asked me this question about you, he said, "What is your opinion on Dark Sorcery and its founder, Alfredo Martinez?" And I said, "This is what it is. He and I had a good history. You did betray me once. You have been keeping your nose clean, and I really respect that. I really do. But I've also seen how you've grown and matured. Okay. You've really applied yourself within the Dark Sorcery channel. And from what I've been told by others, you've really matured within the arts and practices themselves. Okay. This is something that I respect. So when I asked you about the difference between the altars of outdoors versus indoors and the cleaning aspects, I was challenging you to see how you would reply to that. I guess you could say it was playing the bad guy role, as Anton Zandelavay would put it. But because we're talking altars and altar setups, I wanted to apply this here today as well. So you really did have a very good comeback. Not many people would have utilized the natural flow of the currents of nature as a natural cleansing of an altar. Not many people would do that. In fact, I can count them on one finger. Well, not one finger, but one hand. No, thank you. So I have to give you props on that. I really do. You actually thought outside the box and you didn't come back with the jack in the box natural routines. I really like that, about your reply and how you mentioned me by name. Okay. That was awesome. Now, one of the things I've been following lately is an app by Allstate. Okay. No, Everett. No. Hi. No. Okay. Now, this app is one of their newest genes, I guess you could say, newest little inventions. And because of my son's mother's driving background, okay, I think it's good for her because now that she's realized that it's, not a game and that her actions does have consequences, she's beginning to turn that around, and it's very awesome in that way. But I think this app can also be applied here as well. Okay, not only with you, Alfredo, but with the altars and everything as well, because it's showing you the areas that you're weakest in, but it's also showing you your strengths. Okay. Now, normally when I go to work, it is what is known as the moderate risk, and that's between 12 noon and 6 p.m. Okay, or 11 to 5 area. Okay, with probably about 1% after 5 o'clock. Now, because of last night's driving, yes, why I went to a higher risk because it was at night. Okay, it was around midnight. So you see the difference between low, medium, and moderate. Okay, in that sense. But when you go underneath the perks of it and everything, you see where the braking is zero. You're staying underneath 80 miles per hour. You're basically being shown the positives. Okay, but most importantly, it's a way for you to gain points. It's a way for you to find out what your strengths and weaknesses are. Okay, and what you need to improve on. Okay, and like I said to this guy, you may have betrayed me once, but I've seen how you've grown. Okay, so the betrayal aspect would be a negative. Okay, it's one negative mark. Okay, it's like having a say for example a ticket violation, a moving violation, a ticket. Okay, that's where that would fall into play. But in the long run, it's also teaching you about who you can trust and who you can't. Okay, but it's also motivating you to up your game, to learn the materials. Now, I wanted to apply this little thought form today because of the fact that since you were talking about altars and keeping them clean for the natural energy flow, wiping them down and stuff like that, kind of like what I did on Facebook just yesterday evening and early this morning when I finished redecorating my own personal altar, okay, in a live video. Now, in the first video, I actually went into actual history, okay? I went into pantheons, the Aztecs, the Druids, the Incans, okay? I went into witchcraft and shamanism, voodoo and voodoo, okay? And kind of just showed people the differences of traditions and how they view the altars and the altar setups. Now, this is where I want to challenge you, Alfredo, okay? This is where I'm going to challenge you. And I want to see if you'll step up and do it because you're doing such a great job with what you're teaching and what you're discussing on dark sorcery. I'm really impressed with it, but I'd like to see you do a lot better. Okay, I really want to see you do better. So I want you to get into the history aspect, and I'd like to see what you can come up with when you're really applying yourself with the knowledge of what you're teaching and how you can apply that to your videos. Okay, when we look at E.A. Coetting, okay, he's not only going into the aspects of rituals and showing you how to do it, okay, or Frank White from the Grail of the Serpents, okay, how he's breaking it down, showing you how to visually acquire the energies, to put yourself in that mind state when you're getting into meditation. How do you utilize spells and break them down and why they work? Okay, this is natural knowledge. Okay, this is experience. Okay, now I know you've been practicing for a few years, but you're still young, and the fact that you're trying, okay, you're actually applying it. what you've been told. This is a good thing, which is why I'm here to help you guide you to become better, to make your channel better. Okay, DH Thorne, he's put a lot of stuff out there as well. He has even put out a book, from what I understand. Now, personally, I haven't had a chance to buy the book due to the lack of funds. Welcome to being a father and a parent, or as my son's mother so colorfully put it, welcome to being an adult. But my point is this. I'd like to see you put more information in there, more knowledge on the topics that you personally discuss. Okay, and this I think will benefit you in the long run. Not just bouncing ideas and stuff off each other, but more of actually putting actual historical, mythological, and religious foundations from various different time frames or eras. Okay, for an example, when we look at the Satanic Bible by Anton Zandalevay, we see how he sets up his altars, okay, from the Church of Satan's perspective. How it's draped in black, a dark room, lit by candlelight, only used for illumination, the natural illumination. The items that are put on it, the table, be it made of flesh, like say a man or a woman volunteering to be the altar, or a physical altar where you keep your items, okay, your ritual items, okay. Very keen thing. This is in the book of Lucifer, okay, that he discusses this stuff. You can even go into the book of Belial and read up on the articles of clothing, how they're dressed head to toe in black, how they utilize their talismans, their amulets, their orcrocs, okay, their rings, jewelry even, okay. What are the diameters of their altars? What is the angles of the altars? How many people do they keep around them, okay? Like you have the high priest or priestess, the altar being made of flesh, be it male or female, depending if the high priest or priestess is leading the ceremony or ritual, okay? Is it a ritual or is it a ceremony, okay, that you're performing and utilizing that altar for? Is it for your everyday mundane aspects, okay? Or is it for reaching out and communing with the Demerge, okay? You see where all these things play into effect here, okay? But where's the history behind it? Why was this made like this, okay? When I challenged you on that, and I also did these 2 videos just last night, okay, I wanted to see if you would put forth historical accounts. I wanted to see if you would actually put history into it. Now, you didn't do that, but you did come back with a very good, Everett, no baby boy, leave daddy's computer alone, okay? This is your toy right here. All right, so, but I'm still impressed because, like I said, not many people have grown or evolved. And the fact that you're evolving, that's a good thing. So even if you go into other areas, like, say, the Wiccan Bible, okay, by A.J. Drew, okay, you see an altar setup. You see how to set it up and construct it and why everything is placed in a certain location, all right? But more so, you see the diameters of it. And that's a good thing, being it outdoors or indoors, it's still there. You'll still have the diameters, the setups, and everything, okay? You can go into any form, like, say, voodoo, hoodooism, okay? Same exact thing. You go into Palo Mayumbi, you see something else. Every one of these has a different setup or construction of an altar. They got different locations or names for their house of the spirits, okay, like the Nagunga, okay, or the altar. Each altar for the Loa, because each Loa has their own unique altar set. Okay? And so, what are you doing? Hey, you leave those alone, Bubba. You don't need to be playing with the remotes. But anyways, you see how the Palo Mayumbi altar is different, but similar to that of the voodoo, like say the Haitian voodoo or that of the African voodoo setups of altars. Okay, their ceremonies are similar, but different. Okay, and this is because most of these traditions, such as hoodooism, voodoo, voodoo, Santa Morte, La Santa Morte, and Quimbanda, Kimbiza even, Brujeria, okay, they all can be traced right back to the Yoruba people in Africa, okay, but also through the slave routes and where they went through and how they became different branches, much like the tree of life. Okay, when you look at a tree, each one of these branches is a different aspect of the same old tradition. Okay, but what about European? Okay, what about the European traditions? Okay, like witchcraft, shamanism, okay, druidism. Okay, how do you view their temples, their setups? Because most of the druids throughout the ancient Gaelic communities had their setups outdoors. Okay, outdoors, which meant they never got cleaned. But yet, nature automatically did that themselves. That's why you have the 5 elements. Now, in witchcraft, you can have the temple indoors or outdoors. Now, one of the books that I just took from my personal library is this one here. It's called The Complete Book of Witchcraft by a man who just passed away back in 2017, Raymond Buckland, Sir Raymond Buckland. Okay? This is an old school practitioner. And on page, basically, if you go to page, let's go all the way back to page 27, and then go to page 34. Okay? But pay close attention to page 32. And I'm going to show this to you. Okay, right down here at the bottom. See if I can get it to come in here. All right. Notice the dimensions. Okay. Notice the altar setup. Okay. But most importantly, look at how they were set up and constructed. Okay. This is the old version of paganism or neo-paganism. No Everett. But let's go back a page. Okay. Notice right here. See how it's set up. But let's go back another page. Okay. Notice, let me see if I can get it to, notice the geometric shapes. Notice how it was set up with the altar in the center. Okay. This is what I'm talking about. You know, pulling from various different sources, different various setups, because everybody has a different setup, not just indoors, but also outdoors. You look at the Mexican shamans, okay, they have caves that they go to. One set up for the devil, okay, or their variation of the devil. You know, they're Satan. Another one uses water, or I should say liquefied gasoline type branches in the form of a pentagram. And they light it on fire and do ceremonies that way. Okay, this is just Central South America. Okay, but what about the ones that are indoors? Now, you can go underneath YouTube, okay, and look up witchcraft. You'll see various different locations because of the fact that, number one, Palo Mayumbe in voodoo, theirs is against the wall in its forms of certain sticks, but also a statue, the house of the spirit, the Nagunga, okay? But also otherwise known as a cauldron in European, or a spirit box in necromancy, okay? This is where you invite the spirit who is willing to work with you, okay? So right there, you're seeing sticks, cauldron, house, a spirit house, where you can sacrifice animals. And most of these traditions actually do sacrifice animals. Some have even been known to sacrifice humans in old times. Cannibals, for an example, have their own ritual setting. Go to the Aztecs, where they would strap the victim down on top of their pyramid to the sun god. This is Brazilian temples, by the way, or even Mexican temples. They would cut open the living being and rip out their heart and offer it as a living offer, an offering to the gods, the sun god. You go into Druidism. You go into the ancient Chaldean practices. Their temples, such as Stonehenge in New Hampshire, Salem, New Hampshire, to that of England, clearly show a ritualistic ceremonial setup, okay, following the equinoxes and the solstices, the times of the year that these rituals are performed. How the blood will flow from the body of the offering, the victim, and flow down the creases and down underneath, where the priest or priestess, the druid, would be standing to catch the blood and utilize that blood as an offering. In Satanism, blood is a consecrating solution to the gods, to the Demerge. Okay? Why do you suppose that so many use blood? I've seen rituals in Voodoo where they cut the head off a dog and then let the blood drain over and quench the altar, feeding the Loa. I've seen videos from actual practices in Palo Mayumbe where they do the same thing to feed the Ugan. Satanists will use their own blood, no matter if they're Luciferian, traditional. Instead of doing animal sacrifices or human sacrifices, Satanists would use their own blood. They would cut back of the arm or cut open the palm of their hand and let the blood spill, splattering in the center of the altar. Setting up the altar with Baphomet in the center. Skulls which resemble death, but also life. Death, life, death, and rebirth. Watching how candles represent different aspects. And one of the things that I have noticed about local and more interesting practitioners who come into the craft is they always ask about the candles, the colors, and their activities that can be used for them, or with them, I should say. For an example, red is always about passion, desire, and will. Rage. Pink is always associated with love. Black is the void, used for dark magics, the baneful magics. White candles is for purity, enlightenment. Green for monetary, the commonwealth. Okay? Blue for health, spiritual. You see my point? But when we get into it and we really delve deep, we see where all these different altars have a different purpose, a different method of being utilized and constructed. And that's the point of it. Okay? Now, I wanted to show this to you because of this fact. Altars and altar setups have been used for centuries. You can go back into the ancient Chaldean aspects, and you see the Witch of Endor and how she utilized corpses. Okay? In one form or tradition, language-wise, she's known as a witch. In another language, she's known as a necromancer. Okay? So you really have to pay attention to the names. You do have to pay attention to the region of the world, the mythologies, the reasons for these constructions. Okay? But you are right about the indoors and the outdoors. And I was very much impressed, Alfredo. Very much impressed with your comeback, your answer. Most people, because that's the way I was trained, most people would say, well, is it even necessary to clean? Why do you have to clean an altar if it's for the demurrage? Isn't it supposed to be filthy? They don't realize, just as you said, it's about respecting the gods. It's about respecting the deities and those that you have a relationship with. But it does also come down to, are you doing a ceremonial or are you doing a ritual, a solitary ritual? You see, there is a difference there because it depends on how it's set up. If you're doing it based off a coven setting, you're going to be going with a ceremony. Okay? A ceremony. Whereas for a solitary setup, it's a ritual. So you really have to take that into consideration. But to see how far you've come since the last time you and I've communed, I've been watching. Finally getting to see you evolve. You're applying the knowledge, the gnosis that you're gaining. And that's a good thing. So don't take this video as an act of war or a negative aspect. Look at it as a way for you to evolve even further. Grow. Mature. Reach out and branch out into other aspects of magic, be it black magic, sorceries, witchcraft, shamanism, voodoo, hoodooism, santeria, quimbanda, umbanda. It doesn't matter. Look at the constructions of how they perform their ceremonies. Look at how they set up their altars. Why are their altars set up that way? Because 9 times out of 10, it's based off spiritual belief, not physical belief structure, as E.A. Coetting would have you believe. Okay? Now, I'm not knocking on E.A. Coetting. Okay? I'm not hating him. I actually love his videos, and I've learned quite a bit from him. But here's the thing. You have yourself where you're trying to grow into a godhood. You're trying to evolve beyond a human being into a sorcerer, a black magician, in a form that's going from a microcosm to a macrocosm, the little god versus the big god. But you cannot replace these gods. So when you're working in a spiritual setting, you got to remember that they were once where you are now. That's why they're so eager. Well, at least most of them are eager to help you grow, to mature. They'll lead you. Like after I set up my altar, my new altar setup, after cleaning my altar room last night, and then I had to go babysit and then come back and finish vacuuming out my altar room and reconstructing it and then consecrating it and blessing it. I was laying there talking to a friend of mine, and Leviathan appeared to me. Now, at first I was wondering, is he just letting me know he was there. But then he started showing me the altars. He started showing me different geometric shapes, and I had to sit there and do research on that just to put them in order so I know what he's trying to say. But right there, that's a spiritual altar setup. It is a powerful tool. It is the link between the nexus between us and the ethereal and that of the spiritual, no matter if it's celestial, spiritual, or shadow. But I wanted to let you know that I have been watching, Alfredo. I have been watching, and I am impressed. I am impressed with you as a magician. You are evolving, you are growing, and you're taking the advice. And you literally picked up my challenge. And I like that. So that's this video. Hope it helps those of you who want to learn and want to learn about altars. I hope it clears up a lot of answers, questions about what I think of Alfredo, what I think about dark sorcery, but also about the history, the knowledge, and the self-evolution. All right? Have a good day. You can always hit me up here on Facebook or on Facebook, YouTube, Facebook. I'm even on Instagram. All right? So feel free to ask me questions. Feel free to come to me if you want. I'll gladly answer any questions. I hope it's been enlightening, intellectual, and hope you go out and get the books that I mentioned. But also, look into what Alfredo's doing. Look up the Order of the Black Thorn on Facebook, okay? And it's actually a new page is being set up for my order, the Order of the Black Thorn, that's specifically going to be having links to other materials as well. So keep that in mind, because we're doing a whole complete reconstruction of the entire order right now. So keep that in mind. And I hope to see you next time. All right? For those of you who have taken place and liked this video, I want to say thank you. And I want to say I hope you learned some things, and I hope it's been enlightening for you. All right? And that's a good thing. I know you've been trying to get in touch with one of my videos, my live videos, for a while now. So have a good one.